couple of days before the draft, but we talking about existing members of the team and existing members of the front office. And a lot of people been trying to say that Andrew Berry somehow is on the hot seat, but Kevin Stefanski is safe. I don't know where this comes from, but I'm here to tell you, I don't think that's necessarily true. Actually, I floated this idea a couple of weeks ago. I don't think none of them is really on the hot seat like that, bro. They just came out and told you. The owner said, I was the one who wanted Deshaun Watson. And think about it. How is it that they're on the hot seat right now and I don't see no smoke nowhere about nothing? So I'll come back and tell you why the things that they've done to their roster has made it to a point where it's going to be very hard to get fired this year, in my opinion. Take a listen to this, and this is Jay Crawford and Jason Lloyd going back and forth a little bit about whether or not they are actually on the hot seat.
Are they on thin ice?
Yes.
We think they are.
I don't think Stefanski is. If Andrew Berry doesn't nail this draft, and I don't mean get a C, if Andrew Berry doesn't get an A- or above on this draft, he is gone.
I'm just telling you, we have gotten no indication that they're on none.
Fine.
I agree. And the thing that I've said, though, is Jimmy can be very emotional, and I don't know how you can trust him if you're those guys, because he can tell you you're good. I have talked to people who were in that building who said, I got a glowing review, and 2 weeks later I was fired. And that's why I don't know that you can trust the emotional side of it. But I'm just saying, we have gotten no... Jimmy came out and said, it was my fault, put Deshaun on me.
Rightfully so. I think it was his fault. But Jace, here's the indication.
I'm not saying they shouldn't be on the hot seat. I'm saying we've got no indication.
A lot of organizations don't come out and say that. Jerry Jones does it, but a lot of guys don't. And a lot of guys have been fired in Cleveland. You're like, oh, okay, now you're going to do it. Like, I thought there was all kinds of indication that Hugh was going to go. Maybe 0-16? Didn't deserve a contract extension. He got it. And then all of a sudden he was like, wow, now you're going to fire him? Okay, whatever. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's Jimmy. I will say this. I know you're saying we're not getting a whole lot of indication. Here's my indication. Look at his third-round fails at wide receivers.
Oh, his draft record
just look at the draft record.
Yeah, I know.
That's all the indication I need. I don't need the front office saying, we're not sure about him. They're saying quietly the same things we're saying about him. You better have a home run draft. It's time. And if he doesn't get this one right and they keep him, they deserve whatever they get. They deserve whatever they get.
Now, listen, look, I was trying to chime in there, but Jason Lloyd was doing such a good job that telling them what the narrative was. I said, let him talk, let him cook. Because here's the thing. I agree. We've been sitting here saying, if they don't do this, if they don't do that, if they don't do this, them boys is out of here. No. Jimmy Haslam actually came in and gave them full cover. And then the moves they made around the situation made it to a point where they're not going to have the L's that people think they're going to get. Now, mind you, he could have been on the hot seat if you lose Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, that changes the whole complexion of what your defense is. He brought him back and they got him to sign the money. Whatever, great, awesome. But now you just signed Flacco. That buys you 6 weeks right there. That buys you fans goodwill just on nostalgia alone. Because most people thought he should have been brought back after the situation. And when they found out he was never offered a contract, and they found out he was never going to be in the same building as Deshaun Watson, people was upset. Well, guess what? He not only did that, he brought Flacco back and then basically said, yeah, Deshaun Watson, that's been a failure. So now the fans are back into the fold. They got Kenny Pickett. So now there's a floor to where you can go if Flacco gets hurt or doesn't play well. Before it was, let's see what DTR is. One interception, one touchdown, 10 interceptions, and wild, out of control, don't know what he's doing. I told you before, I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. So now think about it. You got a guy who is a competent backup. You got some sort of leadership and a veteran presence at both positions, and you're going to probably draft another developmental quarterback, right? And if they mess around and get Jalen Miller or Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart, people will be excited about it. But wait, he says slam dunk. It has to be an A. We talked about it today on UCSS. It don't even really matter like that. If he hits on Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter is like the rookie of the year, and he's exciting, I mean, that's already half right there. That's half the score right there. If they hit on a quarterback and a quarterback looks like he is going to be a franchise quarterback that plays 5 to 10 years for the Browns, everybody else can be trash. Everybody else can be whatever. If he get a quarterback and Travis Hunter looks like he's an all-pro, a difference maker, one of the best players at his position, a dominant force on offense or defense. Listen, he got that correct, and he got the quarterback correct. Some would argue Travis Hunter could just be good. And if they get the quarterback correct, y'all won. You see, it's not that, the Browns have been so bad. The Browns have been so terrible at figuring this stuff out that they've actually put themselves in a situation where people think this is almost dang near impossible. But people look up in your quarterbacks back to back and look at the Green Bay Packers. They just keep getting quarterbacks, right? So, I don't think they're on a hot seat, like that, because there's no really sense of urgency like that. And then when they said they're not going to force a quarterback, he got his stadium. He's going to try to barter some and wait some time. And if you get an exciting player, it changes the way you think about things, man. Like it changes the way the optics of the situation, because people will say, look, if you got Joe Flacco, Travis Hunter, Jerry Jeudy, you go back and get another running back, because you could get a starting level running back round 3. If guys are excited about the experimental quarterback, maybe a Shedeur, Milroe, whatever, and then you take a look at some of the tight ends that they can get, really good tight end class, and you could look at that draft class and say, I love it. Love it. You can't tell me nothing. So I think it's overdone that, they're saying they're on the hot seat, because I started to change my mind about it after they started saying, okay, well, we're going to bring Myles Garrett back, because I thought if they would have lost Myles Garrett, that would have been the floodgates, because then you talk about trying to really go about replacing a generational type player. And we knew that the quarterback market was not going to be available to you in free agency or trades. And then, the Kirk Cousins thing kind of fell through. But I think they did a good enough job of solidifying them holes where, the Browns aren't going to be a 3-win team next year. I don't foresee it. I think the Browns actually, if they get less than, I think that they can get 7 wins next year. If everything bounces right. 7 wins, not crazy. 6, 7, 8. And if you get to 8, you're definitely not getting fired.